I hereby call the August 19th, 2024 Planning Commission to order at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please do a roll call?
Here.
Commissioner Allen? Absent?
Here?
Oh,
No, I'm here.
sorry. Commissioner Allen is on the phone. Is that Glenn too?
No.
Glenn, okay.
Glenn's
Commissioner Cohen?
here.
Commissioner Shane? Absent? Commissioner McCabe?
Here.
Commissioner Fernandez?
Here.
Commissioner Scoggin?
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, any objection to approving the agenda as written? Hearing and seeing none, the agenda is approved. Okay, Commissioner Scoggins, would you please lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Under the consent agenda, we have the August 5th, 2024 regular meeting minutes and an introduction for public hearing legislative matters, Resolution 24-21, a resolution of the Matanuska-Susitna Borough Planning Commission recommending assembly adoption of processes for community councils to develop a community comprehensive plan or special use district. Public hearing is September 16th, 2024. Staff is Julie Speckman, Long Range Planner. Are there any additions or changes to the consent agenda? Any objections to approving the consent agenda as written? Okay, hearing and seeing none, the consent agenda is approved. Okay, so we will move to agency staff reports. And we have a comprehensive safety action plan presentation. Johnny, would you like to give the presentation? You have to turn the mic on, hit the button.
But
There you go.
There we go. How's that?
Great.
Good. Okay, thanks. So we're going to keep it short today. My name is Joni Wilm. I am a senior planner with Michael Baker International, and here with Sarah Shocker today. We are going to present to you on the Mat-Su Borough Safe Streets for All Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, and we're working closely with Jamie Taylor at the Mat-Su Borough Public Works Department on this plan. So this is our team. Again, I'm Joni Wilm. This is Sarah Shocker. We're also working with R&M and Fair and Peers on this safety plan. This is our third safety plan that we've done in Alaska. The safety plan is grounded in Safe Streets and Roads for All approach, otherwise known as SS4A. A little bit about that federal grant program which funded this planning effort. It is a discretionary grant program that is used to fund planning and infrastructure improvements on road systems to reduce fatalities and serious injuries. It's also part of the Vision Zero effort, which recognizes that even one death on the road is unacceptable and is a systematic approach to planning for safety and transportation on our roads. One of the main reasons we're doing this plan is because it opens up the Mat-Su Borough for future funding, future SS4A grant funding. So there's two pots of funding. There's the funding that began once we started the plan in April, and those include supplemental planning and demonstration activity funds. And then after the plan is complete, you will be eligible for implementation funding from the Federal Highways Administration SS4A program. And Sarah's going to talk to you a little bit about crash data.
So why are we doing a comprehensive safety action plan is always a good place to start. So when we look back over the last 10 years of available crash data, there's been over 10,000 crashes in the Mat-Su. This is, I want to clarify, in the expanded core area of the borough, which is a very small part of your very huge borough, but it includes all the cities of Houston, Wasilla, and Palmer. And in that area, 10,000 crashes over 10 years, that works out to a crash occurring every 8 hours. And those are just reported crashes. So that's fairly alarming. The good news is in the light blue there, you can see the majority of those crashes, people are not getting hurt, but they're probably getting their vehicle dinged up. They're inconvenienced in some way. What we really want to focus on with this plan is reducing those serious injury and fatal crashes that are occurring. And serious injuries are generally somebody left in an ambulance or they're hospitalized. Potentially their life is forever changed. So when we look at the trends, they're not going in the right direction. If you can't see the numbers there, those are the numbers of crashes by year. Yellow is serious injury crashes, blue is fatal crashes, and we look at those together to just call them serious crashes. And we're not going in the right direction. Our fatalities are trending up. When we look at the last 5 years, 2018 to 2022, which is what we really want to focus on to account for the population growth and all the new changes out on the road. There's lots of construction out there, I know. Generally, it's still flat, and we want to see those numbers going down. So that's what we're going to be looking at and what's happening out on the road and how can we get those numbers down. And we're going to look at a lot of data. We're already diving into it really closely. I'm a data nerd, so I love slicing and dicing, but we're also really going to look at what's happening with what we call our vulnerable road users, generally everyone outside a vehicle, bicycles, pedestrians, wheelchair users, because they don't fare as well in crashes. Even, they don't get away with fender benders like we do in cars. So they're going to come away from a crash with some sort of injury. 93% of the crashes, that even though there's not a lot, they're high impact on these users. So we want to understand more what's happening with them.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. So we want to alert everyone to the project website. It's a really great website. There's tons of information about the plan. You can learn how to get involved. Also on the website is a survey. Is on the website. There's a link to this the QR code as well will take you there. The survey is currently open through August 30th. It's very, very important that we get a lot of survey participants. So anything that this group can do to help promote that will really help. The Mat-Su Borough has posted a reel on the Mat-Su Borough Facebook site to promote the survey. So you can find that and share that as well. But please take the survey. And I've given all the commission members a QR code and information fact sheet up there, so you'll have that. And that's it. That is our short, sweet presentation on the safety plan. I don't know if you have questions or we can answer any questions you might have.
Okay, do any of the commissioners have any questions? The commissioners online, do you have any questions?
No questions. This is Commissioner Sane. I just joined in a little bit ago.
Commissioner Allen, no questions. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right.
Great.
Well, thank you for
Thank
the
you so
presentation.
much. Thank you.
Okay. This time we'll move into audience participation, which will be 3 minutes per person for items not scheduled for public hearing today. So at this time, members of the audience may speak regarding any topic that's not on the agenda. If anyone on the phone wish to speak, please press *3. There's a sign-in sheet. I think Lacey's she's getting it. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and start if there's anybody on the phone first. Sorry, hang on just a second. We'll get you. None on the phone. Okay, so let's go ahead. Anyone in the audience, if you would like to speak, come on up and state your name and spell your last name, please.
Good evening. My name is Esther Huddleston, Huddleston. I'm deeply concerned about Resolution 24-21 by giving too much authority to community councils to develop community comprehensive plans in special use districts. Resolution 24-21 will create abuse of power. The public process will be violated because community councils will only include those who support their agenda. Existing ordinances will be bypassed with management plans of special use districts. The Matsu Borough's economic future will have devastating negative impacts because this resolution will allow community councils to dictate how businesses are operated, how builders build in communities, not to mention the extreme restrictions which will be placed on people. Community councils should not have authority to regulate businesses because it will create an economic hardship in the Matsu Borough. We have construction companies who employ up to 200 people in the Matsu Borough, and community councils shouldn't have the power to dictate on how those businesses operate. We have a lake ordinance which will be bypassed through community council special use districts, and lakes will be restricted to non-motorized usage. Under the Vern Halter administration, Meadow Lakes Community Council tried to pass a Meadow Lakes community management plan. Under that plan, Meadow Lakes went above and beyond state and borough regulations when it came to heating oil used to heat homes. Any home that was within 500 feet from a lake had to be buried underground, a double layer metal tank for heating oil. In the Meadow Lakes community management plan, they wanted to dictate on how many trees you had to have on your property, dictate how businesses operated, dictate on how much land you were allowed to subdivide, and dictate on how builders build homes. I'm deeply concerned community councils will get rid of recreational and hunting opportunities by placing restrictions on lakes and restrictions on how trails are used. When the Matsu Borough was creating a borough-wide management plan, we had community councils try to get rid of home farming and residential neighborhoods to the lots couldn't be less than 5 acres. Everyone had to have a certain number of trees and restrictions on builders building in residential neighborhoods. The Matsu Borough shouldn't hand over this kind of authority to community councils. It's absolutely reckless. We have enough management plans. We don't need more lockup restrictions. It's bad enough trying to just keep up with this upcoming borough-wide management plan. The Matsu Borough needs to obtain full authority for the economic future of the Matsu Borough and to prevent devastating restrictions to our community. Please vote no on Resolution 24-21. And I'm not sure if Resolution 24-21 is being pushed because of the conflict between the Connect Community Council and the Connect helicopter tours. The responsible thing for the borough is to meet with both groups and try to find solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, on our sign-in sheet, the next person is Sherry, or Cheri. Okay. You can't. No, if you, which is the resolution that you were wanting to speak on? Okay, you'll have an opportunity after. Okay. Okay. All right, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Okay, none on the phone? All right. So are there any objections to close an audience participation? Hearing and seeing none, audience participation is closed. Okay. We're moving to public hearing quasi judicial matters. We're going to start with Resolution 24-15. A conditional use permit in accordance with MSB 17.30, conditional use permit for earth material extraction activities for the extraction of up to 40,000 cubic yards of earth material annually through 2033. The activity will occur on 2 parcels totaling 13.6 acres, with the extraction occupying the eastern 5.96 acres. The activity is located at 8751 and 8901 East Palmer Wasilla Highway. Tax ID numbers are 18 November 01 Echo 35 Charlie 006 and 18 November 01 Echo 35 Charlie 009. Applicant Tim Alley for Mountain Gravel Investment Group LLC. Staff Peggy Horton, current planner. Okay, for the commissioners, this is ex parte. As I read these, if there's any that, excuse me, I'll just ask you after each one if you can agree or not to agree. Okay, number one, do you or any member of your immediate family have a substantial financial interest in any property affected by this decision, or will you recognize a foreseeable profit as a result of this decision? Okay, all of the dais have
No.
indicated no. Okay, Commissioner Allen?
Commissioner Shane, no.
Commissioner Allen, no.
All right, thank you. Number two, have you received or otherwise engaged in ex parte contact with the applicant, appellant, other interested parties, or members of the public concerning the application, either before, during, or after this matter was submitted for decision? Okay, everyone on the dais said no. On the phone?
Commissioner Allen, no.
Commissioner Shane?
Commissioner Shane, no.
Okay. Are you able to be impartial in this decision? Everyone on the dais says yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Shane?
Yes.
All right. With that, Ms. Horton, would you like to proceed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Peggy Horton. I'm a current planner with the Development Services Division. It's my pleasure to provide the Commission with an overview of the proposed conditional use permit this evening. The staff report for PC Resolution 24-15 can be found started on page 39 of your packets. This is a earth material extraction operation on approximately 6 acres of a 13-acre site. It's located on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway, and the request is for removal of materials through 2033. The applicant states that the future use of the property is for commercial or residential use. The public notice process included 304 notices mailed out. The Frontiersman published the public hearing notice on the June 21st edition. Staff posted the application material on the borough's website on June 18th. And the staff emailed the public notice, the application material, and a request for comments to internal borough and outside agencies on June 18th. We did also email the Gateway Community Council, and no comments were received from the Community Council. There was one public response in support and 3 responses with concerns about noise, vibration, property devaluation, Palmer-Wasilla Highway congestion during peak hours, cracked windshields due to loose gravel, the degradation of roads due to heavy truck traffic, and health-related concerns due to the increase of particulates in the air. The applicant and DOT and PF are working out the details concerning access to the Palmer-Wasilla Highway, so staff recommends a final driveway permit approval prior to operation. Staff recommends approving the conditional use permit to operate this earth material extraction activity on the East Palmer-Wasilla Highway. With the recommended conditions of approval, the operation meets the applicable standards of MSB 1728 and 1730.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Commissioner Allen or Commissioner Shane, do you have any questions?
Commissioner Allen, no question. Thank you.
Okay,
Commissioner Shane, no questions. Thank you.
okay, thank you. All right, at this time then, I'd like to invite the applicant, Tim Alley, to see if you'd like to add anything.
Hello, I'm Tim Alley. I'm with the Boutte Company, representing Mountain Gravel Investment Group. I appreciate your time considering this application for material extraction permit. The main reason behind this permit is to move a very large, about 30 to 40 foot tall ridge of gravel on the property in order to sell it for gravel, but then also for future development of the property as either commercial or residential. We anticipate approximately 40,000 cubic yards a year coming off of the site, and have, with our coordination with DOT, have gotten actual a permit approved at this point. They've said that no changes to the current driveway will be necessary since that was constructed with the DOT project. I will make sure to get that correspondence to Peggy. Then the idea being that access onto the Palmer-Wasilla Highway is, that's a major through corridor. That's should be built to a standard that will be able to handle this type of traffic. The applicant or Mountain Gravel, for the applicant, have stated in our application that they will be doing routine sweeping of Palmer-Wasilla Highway to address any track out of rocks or sand from the site, as well as a rock anti-track pad, so to speak, that the trucks will drive over to help shake loose some of that tracking material. They will be maintaining a buffer around the extraction area to include berms and existing vegetation. All that information is also provided in the application. And I'm happy to help any other questions or concerns with this. I think this is as far as material extraction goes, one of the, ideas behind this permit being that, trying to prepare the lot for future development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Tim? Are there any questions at all for Tim? Commissioner Allen or Commissioner Shane, any questions?
Commissioner Allen, no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Shane, no questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, we'll open public hearing on Resolution 24-15. If anyone on the phone wish to speak, please press *3. Do we have any on the phone? Okay. Do we have a sign-in sheet? Okay. Is it Cherry or Sherry? Cherie. Sorry, I've got them wrong twice. All right, come on up. And yeah, do you need her to spell it? Okay, come on up. Please state your name, and just for the record, please spell your last name.
Okay. Cherie Ann Sobzak Crippen, SOBCZAK -CRIPPEN. Okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm a resident of Midtown Estates, so personally, my concerns are the traffic, the noise, the property value. These things have already been mentioned, and the ground vibration. So for me, we have one property dividing the work that's being done and my home. We've felt it all summer long, the work that's just been, the clearing and everything that's just been done before they've even extracted anything. The other thing I'm concerned about as far as our neighborhood is the fact that we're on community wells. I believe there's 2 community wells in Midtown Estates, and they're separated. One is in the back part of our subdivision. The other one's toward the front. But some of the work, the extraction, what if something happens to the quality of our water, or the water table is disrupted in some way by the work that they're doing? So we're very concerned about that. But talking about the traffic and just the crashes and everything, the lady who spoke about the safety issues, we live real close to the intersection of Palmer-Wasilla Highway and Trunk Road. Even though that's a nice big intersection with turn lanes everywhere, it's very dangerous. There's been a number of accidents there. So West Side Drive, which is one of two exits for Midtown Drive, and Midtown Estates Drive, that construction area and the work being done is 500 yards from either one of those entrances. There's no way in and out for us other than those two. And the businesses on the frontage road close to Midtown Drive also utilize the Midtown Drive exit. So it's just it's a matter of just a lot of things happening. The possibility of other things happening. So in thinking about this, I don't just talk about the problems, talk about the solutions. So I'm thinking of the mitigation of the traffic problem would be to have another exit out of Midtown Estates onto Trunk Road with a light so people could turn toward Hatcher Pass or toward the Parks Highway. It needs to be thought out so we have access in and out of this neighborhood. And it's just very dangerous leaving it that way, even, if there's emergencies there where vehicles need to come in and out. And just the general traffic going back and forth between Palmer and Wasilla constantly, and all of this work being done. So if that work is being done and disrupting the traffic anyway, that traffic's going to back up even more. And it might just render both of those lights that exist there useless to the traffic pattern. So I'd like for you to seriously consider those things and the quality of life we have in Midtown Estates, because it's going to affect our property value. We couldn't sell our homes if we wanted to with that going on in our backyard. So just consider all those things. I'd appreciate it. And any kind of mitigating thing. I don't expect the Mat-Su taxpayers to pay for an exit out of Midtown Estates, but perhaps it could be written into the resolution for approval that it would be absorbed by the company. So my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next one on the list, I believe, is Carol LaWalter. Did I get it right? Okay.
My name is Carol LaWalter, and I'm speaking in Resolution 2415. LaWalter is LAWALTER. I have lived within a half mile of the intended gravel pit for well over 60 years. I have a residential property within a quarter of a mile of the gravel pit as the crow flies in Midtown Estates, and I have a 4.4 acre commercial site nearly directly across the street from on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway. Both of these properties and more than 180 homes in Midtown Estates, Golden Hills subdivision, Bit of Erin subdivision, and another subdivision behind Bit of Erin, which uses North Broman Drive, will be negatively impacted by the development of this gravel extraction. There are numerous businesses, 4 schools, a preschool, and a daycare, which is currently across the Palmer-Wasilla Highway, directly across from the gravel pit, with an outside play area. These properties will also be negatively impacted. How, you ask, will this negatively impact them? Traffic congestion. 40,000 cubic yards of gravel works out to over 2,000 belly dumpers, not standard-sized dump trucks, would be allowed yearly under the resolution for the next 9 years. The Palmer-Wasilla Highway is considered to be a major arterial road and has 4 stoplights within a half mile of this proposed pit. The Palmer-Wasilla Highway has a bike path that runs the entire length between Palmer and Wasilla. The borough has listed as capital improvement project to install a bike path that goes down 49th Street at an estimated $2.8 million to connect the Bogard bike path to the Palmer-Wasilla Highway bike path. What happens with this long-term goal when the bike path on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway is overrun with the dump trucks because the bike path is on the same side as the gravel pit? Drivers are currently having severe issues with the proper use of Midtown Drive and Palmer-Wasilla Highway because it's not properly marked, that intersection, and adding this heavy construction in the area will lead to fatalities. The air quality will be impacted from the dust. Again, I'd like to remind the board of the number of people from schools, daycares, businesses, and homes impacted by this problem. Noise from operation will not add to the quality of life for those impacted by the gravel pit. I would like to direct the board to the 2007 Mat-Su Borough Long Range Transportation Plan adopted by the Assembly, which states as goals, Section 2.1, Economy and Quality of Life. Provide a transportation system that enhances the local economy and quality of life. Provide an integrated roadway network that facilitates the efficient movement of people and goods. The objective was to maintain an acceptable level of service on roads which generally corresponded to the level of service D or lower. Objective, to minimize travel time delays, functions of highways and arterials. Objective, maintain the traffic carrying function of highways and arterial roads. Section 2.2, safety of this same plan addresses safety as a fundamental goal of any transportation planning effort. Auto accident related to deaths in the United States exceed the 40,000 per year 2007 statistic and represent the single largest cause of non-disease related mortality rates. And the goal was to reduce the transportation related accidents and reduce auto accidents and reduce bike accidents and other pedestrians. Also, the environment
Ma'am?
is to be impacted. And I would like
Excuse me, ma'am. You're at your time limit.
Okay. So I've made a packet, and because I wasn't able to submit it, and so there's.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next is Paul Urbano. Okay,
Perfect.
I got one right.
Hi, my name is Paul Urbano. My last name is spelled Urbano, and I'm a 30-year resident of Midtown Estates. And I see my neighbors already spoke, so I don't want to repeat anything that they said, but I just wanted to say that we're not sure what disruptive and harmful impacts there's going to be to our neighborhood on the buffer. I know the gentleman just said about the buffer. What does that mean? You know, protecting some shrubbery, but what about deep within the earth? I don't know what 40,000 yards, I don't know what that looks like. 10 years is a long time. And I just want you to consider that as well. And, I appreciate your time and your consideration for that. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is Dave Oliver? You're next. Please state your name and spell your last name.
I'm Dave Oliver. The last name is Oliver. I'm a 43-year resident of Golden Hills Estates, and although we live far enough back in the subdivision that the noise and the vibrations probably won't be an issue, my main concern is the congestion on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway. It is already, I'm sure, I dug around, I could not find any traffic studies, but I'm sure it's over its design capacity. And so every morning when Pioneer Peak is getting kids dropped off, traffic backs up from the intersection at the New Trunk Road back past 49th State Street. Every afternoon when Colony High School gets out, traffic is backed up from 49th State Street to Palmer-Wasilla or to Trunk Road. And when I say backed up, it is stopped. So the proposal to allow a dump truck every 3 to 5 minutes onto the highway, in my opinion, is kind of probably is about as probable as getting the Connect River crossing built or the Cook Inlet crossing built someday. Without any sort of traffic plan, I mean, just putting up a couple of road signs that says cautions truck crossing we're just asking for trouble. I think the conditional use permit needs to include some sort of requirement for traffic planning. And in my opinion, flagmen are not going to do the job. It's just not enough. I agree with Cherie's idea of another intersection. I originally thought about using the stoplight at Midtown Estates, but even that is not a good idea because it is improperly used now and the light is extremely long. Now, I understand the developers, wanting to get their, to be able to extract the gravel, and I don't have a problem with that, but it needs to be done in such a way as to not to create more of a hazard on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, there isn't anyone else on the sign-in sheet. Is there anyone in the audience yet who would like to speak? Okay, last chance. All right. There's no one on the phone yet? Okay. So hearing and seeing that there's no other persons to be heard, is there any objection to closing the public hearing? Okay, public hearing is closed. Ms. Horton, would you like to respond to any of the comments that we had?
No, thank you.
Okay. I will now, at this time, okay. Mr. Alley, would you like to respond to any of the questions?
Yeah, thank you. This is Tim Alley again. To respond to a couple of those concerns from the residents here, particularly with the traffic, we are planning that no more than 20 vehicles an hour are coming out of that site. We're going to be limited by how much we can turn the vehicles around on the site. We also have committed to right in, right out only during high traffic times, and that to avoid the conflict with trying to take a left turn onto the Palm Russell Highway. As far as another concern I heard was about water quality. I've taken a look at the wells in the area. There appears to be a confining layer. I believe it was about 40 feet deep, so it'll be far below, and that's 40 feet deep from the lower elevation of the site, not from the top of it. And appears to be confining the aquifer, the source aquifer from the gravel extraction activities. We also have a recommendation from a hydrogeologist as far as relating to how quickly sediment can move through the ground and other pollutants. And we will be maintaining BMPs on the site to help keep any sort of petroleum spills contained from the equipment on site. As far as the amount of material, it is 40,000 a year, but it's spread out over at least probably about 6 months, May to May to September, October. Anyway, and at that rate, it's going to be dispersed throughout the summer. It's not going to be a constant stream of trucks with that quantity. At 20 cubic yards, that's 2,000 trips, which is basically 100 hours, 20 vehicles an hour if it were maxed out. But again, it'll be spread out through the summer. They also don't plan to sell to general public. It'll be for use on projects by contractors and professional truck drivers. So that covers the majority of those. I would like to say, as far as any traffic related issues, the right in, right out is the main mitigating issue there, or mitigating factor that we're going to implement. And with the midtown, those two lights right there, that will help provide gaps in traffic to allow the trucks to take right turns. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am. No, this is not the opportunity. Although, Mr. Alley, we may have some questions for you yet, so hang on a second. All right. Are there any commissioners that would like to speak?
Yeah, Commissioner Glenn here. The last, 2-3 gravel pits we permitted, they estimated they had 175,000 in studies, in order to get the pit open from hydrogeologists, geologists, road engineers, et cetera. Is that about what you're thinking on your project?
I'm sorry, you're asking what the.
Yeah, what was your, what your expenses to get to the point where you're at now? I know this packet's pretty dang thick, so this is not free, so
Right.
I'm more curious than anything.
This being a relatively kind of a smaller area, and having the access onto the Palmer Wasilla, which I think is a little bit better than some of the smaller access roads and stuff like that. But I think we were into this about 30 to 35,000. If I remember.
35,000. Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Commissioner McCabe, I have a question. Somebody mentioned the air quality being affected by the extraction. Do you have any comments for that?
Yeah, typically for dust control, they will be using watering the site. If it continues to be an issue, they can add calcium chloride to it to help with that. As the pit gets expanded and the floor gets larger and slopes start to be established for reclamation, they can get that topsoil unseeded as soon as possible to reduce the amount of exposed area. And yeah, I think that's, I mean, being that it's an open pit, that's, you know, it's gonna generate a little bit of dust. But we'll try to mitigate it as best we can.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Commissioner Fernandez here. I made a couple of notes. It sounded like the two primary concerns that we're looking at are to do with the depth, right, of what is going to be taken, as far as how that could affect groundwater and such, and then access on and off or into and out of the area. I was just doing some math, and this is for everybody, just for some context. If someone dug 1 yard deep over 1 acre of land, that's about 4,800 cubic yards. And so I mathed it out a little bit. And if you're doing 40,000 cubic yards of earth material annually, that would be the equivalent of about removing, and this is over the 10-year period, forgive me, I did the math for the 10-year period or the 9-year period. That means there's 54 feet of depth in land that's going to be removed. Do you feel comfortable with your guys' plan on how that land is going to be left when you are all finished with this, that it's going to be safe and in condition that will allow it to be used for what sounds like potentially development or construction?
So, yeah, so.
And forgive me, that the elevation of the land that exists is sufficient enough that it will bring it down to the level of where the rest, because I see, you know, in the topography, there's quite a rise there.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to piece it all together in my head and make sure that's quite a bit of earth to move.
So, yes, so we've calculated approximately 285,000 cubic yards that can come out of there. And the intent is to keep.
And forgive me, that's over a 6 acre area.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's basically a big ridge that runs down the project or through the property. I believe the maximum depth we're digging is about 40 feet, and that's, again, a ridge. So the idea is that the pit floor is not going to go deeper than the Palmer-Wasilla Highway. So that way it's a flat pad, graded about 1% to 2% into the pit, and then it's, I believe, a wide open flat area.
Okay.
So it's not going deeper than, it's not a pit.
That's essentially what I was asking as well. So essentially you're going to leave it as a level lot rather than having quite the hilly area that it currently exists.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we're not digging down below the elevation of the highway and creating a hole to put stuff down into. We want prime real estate to be left when they're done.
Awesome. And then as far as alternative access to the area, this is more for public comment, I suppose, but I'm sure you guys have looked into it Queensboro really looks like the only viable option to get towards Trunk Road. And that goes through a private lot, which means that there would have to be either a seizure by the borough, or there would have to be a lot of steps that would be taken in order to take that land from a private citizen in order to jet a road. Am I correct in?
I need some clarification for Queensboro. Is that the street that goes right there in front of Napa? Is that?
No, it's behind. So if you turn onto West Side and you go up that ridge, right?
Yeah.
It's a street that runs almost parallel to West Side on the backside of that. Just one set of lots behind West Side. So it would come out onto Trunk Road.
But it's a residential street.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we could potentially take an alternative access. However, with Palmer Wasilla right there, and this being, for all intents and purposes, like an industrial commercial use, typically, you want to take it off of a road that's going to be able to handle your use. With heavy truck traffic, there's going to be potential for damaging the road, especially if it's a residential road built with a smaller structural section. It's narrower. It's probably going to come back out onto the Palm Wasilla Highway anyway. So are you really, I guess my question would be then, are you really mitigating a lot by pushing it onto a residential road?
That's fair. And actually, the more that I think about that, that means that your trucks would be driving through the subdivision instead of straight out onto Palmer Wasilla. So it's not not a good alternative. Okay. That's all the questions I had. I appreciate it.
Okay, I have a question for you. What are the hours of operation that you typically work? And it's during you said May through September?
I'll bring that up. What we actually put in. Find that on my paperwork here.
Sorry, I know it's in the plan. I just missed it.
So 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Monday through Saturday, is what we put.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's what we had put in our application from approximately May 15th to October 31st.
May 15th through October 31st.
May 15th being approximate because of seasonal weight restrictions.
Yep.
Again, this is what could be operated. It's not necessarily what is going to be operated on a day-to-day basis.
Correct, but those are
That's what I'm proposing.
your windows where you're going to try to stay.
Yes.
Okay. The other question that I had, as far as, do you feel a need that you're going to need flaggers at all for traffic?
I don't think so with the maintaining a right in, right out
Okay.
during heavy travel times or heavy traffic times. Particularly with the lights there, if any flagging that would be done would impact those the timing on those lights as well.
Okay.
So there's a limited, amount of traffic control you could do through that without making it a lot worse.
Well, I understand with school hours that there's going to be more traffic with school time, right?
Right.
And you're only going to be like 2 months in the school window.
Right.
So I would think maybe during that school window, there should be maybe some consideration. But I think the rest of it, I think that's probably where you'll have your most traffic concerns. So, okay. Are there any other questions?
Commissioner Shane, I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner Shane.
This question is for staff. I believe there's at least 2, if not what I'm seeing on the maps, 3 much larger gravel pits in the area. Do we require flagging for those gravel pits for the traffic coming in and out? Is that something you could answer to, Peggy?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Shane, I believe the ones you're talking about were grandfathered in, and if they are the ones that access onto DOT roads, that would be a DOT requirement if they have to do flagging or mounting of signs and things like that. As this one will, it's on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway. But we have in the past required some flagging or some positioning of personnel at certain intersections, but the one I can think of was on a residential road, and it was quite a few years ago. Anyway, so yeah, that would be a DOT requirement on state roads.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. The next thing I have is, well, I guess it'd be more of a statement since we don't believe we have any ability for road powers, but it does look to me like the neighborhood does have an option for a alternative route off of what would be East Catherine Drive, coming off of North Manhattan Way, that could alleviate traffic. And really, if anything, just for the record, I know that Palmer-Wasilla is a very heavily congested road, and I think that being able to develop that access onto Trunk Road, given the fact that one side of it already, I believe, has just finished being developed, could alleviate some for that neighborhood, as well as the traffic alone on that area. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Shane. Alex?
Madam Chair, Alex Strawn, Planning Director for the Matsu Borough. Just want to clarify a couple things. East Catherine Drive is on our official streets and highways plan, but up to this point it has not been funded or approved for construction. And then while this is a state of Alaska highway that they're accessing onto, I do believe that if it's found to be reasonable, the Planning Commission could require flaggers if they so choose and thought it was necessary. We have done that in the past where trucks couldn't come to a stop, and so they did have flaggers. That's the only other time I've seen it. So I think that could be a condition if the commission so chose.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Commissioner Allen, did you have a question? I guess not. Okay, are there any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Alley. All right, this time I will entertain a motion for Resolution 24-15.
And Commissioner Glenn, I make a resolution or a motion for Resolution 24-15.
Is there a second?
Commissioner McCabe, I'll second it.
This Commissioner Shane. Oh, there we go.
Okay. We have Commissioner Glenn made the motion for Resolution 24-15, and Commissioner McCabe seconded it. All right, is there any discussion? What that means is the motion's on the floor that we can now, the commission can now discuss it, and then we will go on to vote on from there. Okay, are there any discussion?
Commissioner Fernandez here. I'll go ahead and I just have a comment to make.
Okay.
I have spent 3 years on the, I spent 3 years on the planning board. This is my first full year as a planning commission member. And I can't tell you the number of times that the borough's lack of land use restrictions or regulations ends up kind of pinning me up against a wall with my votes. Being a quasi-judicial matter, what we're here to do as a commission is to review the application as it's been submitted, along with the work, the time, the energy, the resources that the petitioner has provided and worked with our staff, worked with the staff of the planning department, not our staff as a commission, to review that application, compare it to what rules, regulations, codes, restrictions that currently exist for land use in the Matsu Borough. And as we know, one of the things we enjoy as borough citizens is a lack of land use regulations. it's a double-sided coin. It's a double-edged sword. But it's coming up, I'm noticing more and more frequently as time goes on. Based on the recommendations of staff, the work, again, time, energy, resources that the petitioner has put into this project, I personally see no reason why I'm obligated to vote no, though I can see that this is going to have some kind of an impact. I mean, it's in such, I know this area very, very, very well. It's very tightly knit community, very residential focused. And a lot of this work looks like it's going to be done butting up to a bunch of fourplexes that are up there up on west side, and the noise will be heard, and for 9 years. So I've just, as a statement, we're here to do a job, to review the application as it's written, compare it to the code, and make a determination based on those facts. And as it sits right now, I will be voting to approve.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay. I do have some concern of the timing during school, because I do realize that Palmer-Wasilla is going to be very congested during the time of school. And I do believe we should have some form of consideration in there from mid-August through the end of October, that if traffic is an issue, that they will have to mitigate something to help with the traffic relief. Can we add that amendment? Is there any comment on that?
I have a comment on that. There's a lot of other businesses on there too, and you're asking one business now to mitigate traffic, and I don't know that that's fair to do that.
Okay.
It's the, I'm familiar with trucking and gravel, and people just will, they're just going to put up with it. There's another gravel pit just on the other side of that. That's just, it's about finished up. I think it has about a year left. And it's right by the schools, and that's just a fact of life. You know, it's going to be slower, but it always seems to work out. I don't hear of any problems. So I don't feel that'd be fair to put that burden on one business when there's so many businesses there. You know, they're not the only one that has traffic. So that's my thought.
Thank you. That's the purpose of the discussions. Peggy?
Sorry, this is Commissioner Shane. I didn't hear who made the comment.
Commissioner Scoggins did.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to point out as well, we do have businesses all up and down the Palmer-Wasilla Highway. It is I 100% recognize that it is a busy road, and I understand, you know, this is going to add some traffic, but if we are requiring say this gravel pit to add flaggers during certain times while we have all these other businesses that have multiple vehicles coming in and out of them, as well as businesses like in kind that, at least to my knowledge, are not requiring flaggers. I don't know that I would see that as being fair.
Okay. Peggy, would you like to comment?
So in one of the sections of the staff report, they do have traffic plan. When hauling material at more than 10 trucks per hour, the approach will be utilized as a right-in, right-out only during turning, that avoids turning across Palmer-Wasilla Highway, and that's during peak hours and when hauling material at more than 10 trucks per hour. And the other item they have on their plan is when hauling material at more than 10 trucks per hour, advanced warning signs will be placed on the Palmer-Wasilla Highway to alert traffic about trucks turning from the approach. So they do have some traffic planning already in their in their application, and they have to follow the application. That's one of the conditions of approval.
Okay. Go ahead.
Commissioner Fernandez here. I'm in alignment with you, Commissioner Cohn, because again, just doing some math, at an estimated rate of 20 vehicles per hour for 10 hours in one day would be 200 extra vehicles in and out. I think that, especially given the term of the the work that they want to be completing, I think that setting a healthy precedent as the valley continues to grow, and we see over the next 9 years an increase in the need for traffic in that area, due to residential construction, businesses coming in, development happening. A lot's going to happen in the next 9 years, and I think setting the precedent and expectation that there should be flaggers would be a safe move. And again, given the fact that there are no codes that are indicating to me that this violates something within our codes as a borough, I'll be voting yes. So thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Would you like to make the amendment? Would you like to add to it or, okay, thank you.
All right, so I move to amend Resolution 24-15 to include a requirement for, and we're gonna have to work on verbiage together on this one, but requirement that the petitioner include flaggers during school hours.
Or
at a minimum.
school open or closed.
Open and closed
At the
hours, right?
maximum traffic,
Mm-hmm.
the high traffic times.
Well said.
I'd like to make another comment. I've been around a lot of traffic control over the years. There's a lot of thought goes into that in the traffic control plans, and for a group like us that has no knowledge of that, and in taking into account the lights, this is something you're not going to make a good decision on right now. I can tell you that right now. You could actually impact the traffic worse by trying to throw flaggers out there. It's kind of spitballing. This is kind of a big deal. I've done this a lot, 30 years now, and it's not just as simple is what you're trying to do. I'm telling you that much right now. You're really hurting the road more by doing this.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I could chime in.
Yes,
This
please.
is Alex Strawn, Planning Director. I think this is a very problematic proposition here. I'd feel better if staff had researched it and talked with the state of Alaska and done traffic control plans and things like that, and that we were bringing that to the table in cooperation with the applicants. When we require flaggers, that's usually on a residential road where a flagger will actually stop traffic, let the trucks go, and then they can let the traffic go through. I don't think we're going to do that on the Palm Wasilla Highway, so I don't know what good a flagger would do in this situation.
Okay, understand.
So Commissioner Fernandez here. As an alternative, Commissioner Scoggins, do you have any recommendations given your history in traffic control? What we can do, if anything, to mitigate the concerns?
I think the Palm Wasilla highways should have been mitigated 20 years ago, and it wasn't. So it is what it is. It is what we have now, right? It's past. It's a busy road, but we're talking about people with license and insurance, and they want to keep it. That's what they do. They're professional drivers. They're driving big rigs. They're not really the people getting in accidents out there necessarily. They really aren't. There's a lot more rules and restrictions on these guys, and yeah, I just know flagging won't work. I'm sorry. I don't. I've been around a lot, so. But it's a busy road, and if people want to do business there, they're gonna have to deal with the busy road. As far as I'm talking about the truck traffic going in and out, but it's not. It wouldn't be my first choice to get gravel on a project just because of the traffic. It's gonna slow you down, but in that area, it's gonna be your best choice. You're gonna use that. And the other thing sometimes what gets overlooked is you got this truck traffic, but if you got work in that area, say like this bike trail I was mentioned on 49th State Street, this gravel pit's the closest. Gravel's going to come from whether it comes from Houston or wherever it comes from, it's still got to go down those roads and get to the projects. So having a pit in that area might alleviate truck traffic in other parts of the valley. So like I said, the one pit, I think it's just about played out that's right behind there in that area. And so it's kind of six. There's no right answer. It's the Palm Wasilla Highway. I grew up on it. If you can do 35 down it right now, you're doing pretty good. It's just how it is. So.
Commissioner Fernandez, one more time. So to clarify, is Palmer Wasilla Highway, is that a borough road or state?
State right away.
Call your legislator. That's the only recommendation I can say at this point, really, is that if we really are concerned about traffic on Palmer Wasilla, it behooves us all as citizens of the state to be calling our state legislators in order to voice our concerns. Call your neighbors, rally and cry. It's as much as it sounds like we're going to be able to do at this point. So thank you. But without your voices, nothing's going to change. So,
Alex?
Just wondering, has the amendment been withdrawn then, or?
Commissioner Fernandez here. I'm officially withdrawing my amendment to Resolution 24-15. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other comments?
Commissioner McCabe. Movement of gravel trucks is a necessary evil, unfortunately, with an expanding valley, and it sounds like the one next to it, a short distance away, is running out of gravel. That means we need another supply, and how do you say no when all of the rules point us to a decision that says we have no choice but to approve it?
Okay. Any other comments from the commission? I'm sorry, sir, please don't ask questions during this. Sorry. Okay, any other comments? All right. So at this point, is there any objection to this resolution? No objection. Okay, then resolution 24-15 passes. Sorry, there's order, please. We do care. Okay, we are moving on to resolution 24-20. Conditional use permit in accordance with MSB 17.70, regulation of alcoholic beverage uses for a package store known as Circle K Liquors, located at 169 North Meadow Lakes Loop, tax ID 8478000 Lima 002. Applicant Holiday Alaska LLC, staff Rick Benedict, current planner. For the commissioners, do you or any member of your immediate family have a substantial financial interest in any property affected by this decision, or will you recognize a foreseeable profit as a result of this decision? Everyone on the dais said no. Commissioner Allen?
No.
Commissioner Shane?
No.
Have you received or otherwise engaged in ex parte contact with the applicant, appellant, other interested parties, or members of the public concerning the application either before, during, or after this matter was submitted for decision? Commissioner Fernandez? Commissioner Allen?
No.
Commissioner Shane?
No.
Are you able to be impartial in this decision? Everyone on the dais says yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Shane?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Benedict, please proceed.
Thank you and good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Rick Benedict. I'm a current planner with the Development Services Division. The staff report for Resolution 24-20 starts on page 330 of your packets. Pictures of the proposed use can be found starting on page 366. Kate Silber of Dow, on behalf of Holiday Alaska LLC, has submitted a conditional use permit application to relocate an existing alcoholic beverage package store known as Holiday Liquors from 7383 West Parks Highway to 169 North Meadow Lakes Loop, less than a half a mile to the southwest of the existing site. Holiday Alaska LLC operated a convenience store, alcoholic beverage package store, a fuel station at the existing site since approximately 2004. The operation intends to do business at the new site as Circle K Liquors. The proposed use is on 6.28 acres and will dedicate approximately 3,165 square feet to the alcoholic beverage package store portion of approximately 9,905 square feet of the new building's total space. The Circle K convenience store and fuel station will occupy the remainder of the building and subject property. The property is located on the northeast corner of the signalized intersection of West Parks Highway and North Meadow Lakes Loop. Large portions of land abutting the subject property to the south and west belong to the West Parks Highway and North Meadow Lakes Loop rights-of-way. Many properties in the surrounding area are large parcels and are used commercially. Several vacant parcels exist nearby to the east, south, and west. There are no residents abutting this site, and the nearest residence is about 782 feet to the west off of Swan Drive. The closest alcoholic beverage packet stores, Three Bears Alaska and Connect Country Liquor, are located about a half a mile to the east of the intersection of Parks Highway and Pittman Road. Two borough permitted driveways on North Meadow Lakes Loop provide access to the site. There is no access from West Parks Highway. The signaled intersection at West Parks Highway and North Meadow Lakes Loop provides dedicated left and right turn lanes to and from the site. To improve traffic flow, the applicant installed a taper lane on North Meadow Lakes Loop at the nearest driveway to West Parks Highway, as recommended by the Traffic Impact Analysis Report. On June 25th, 2024, the State of Alaska Alcoholic Beverage Control Board approved the transfer of Holiday Alaska LLC's package store license 40198 in a delegated status. The applicant has indicated that all operations, including the alcoholic beverage packet store, convenience store, and fuel station, have permanently closed at the original location as of August 7, 2024. On August 8, 2024, the Circle K convenience store and fuel station opened at the new site. The applicant intends to open the package store portion of the operation upon the Planning Commission's approval of this conditional use permit application. Public notice was conducted according to MSP 1703. Notice was published in the Frontiersman newspaper, posted on the borough website, and mailed to property owners within 600 feet of the property and to the Meadow Lakes Community Council. No responses were received from the Meadow Lakes Community Council, and no responses for or against the proposed use were received from the public. In light of the application material, staff site visit, and comments from the public and outside agencies, staff recommends approval with conditions to operate an alcoholic beverage package store at 169 North Meadow Lakes Loop. The draft resolution containing these recommendations can be found in the packet starting on page 712.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Okay. Is the applicant or someone representing Holiday Alaska LLC here? Please come up and give us your name.
Good evening. My name is Laquita Chmielowski. I'm standing in for Kate Silver. I'm with Dal. I'm the land use planning manager there, representing Circle K this evening. So as staff mentioned, the site is at the intersection of the Parks Highway and Meadow Lakes, about a 0.4 of a mile from the original location. The original location shown outlined in black, and then the new location is shown outlined in yellow. So this conditional use permit is for a portion of the store, about a third of the overall square footage of the store, and that's highlighted in orange on your on the graphic there. So as staff mentioned, the surrounding area or the corridor along the Parks Highway is mostly commercial and industrial uses, and so this is appears to be a compatible use for the surrounding area with the resident, and the packaged liquor store is actually screened from the residential area to the west, given that it's on the east side of the building. So this is just a rendering of the exterior of the entire store, and so the packaged liquor store is there on your right-hand side. And this is actually a photo of the store. It's fully constructed and operational, as staff mentioned, other than the packaged liquor store portion. But this just gives you a sense of how it looks. And then there's looking at the east side of the building where the packaged liquor store entrance is located. So we are requesting approval of this conditional use permit. As staff mentioned, all the approvals have been granted as far as being operational as a facility. We are just waiting for this conditional use permit to be able to open the packaged liquor store portion of the building. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do you need spelling? Could you please spell your name?
Sure. It's last name is Chmielowski, Chmielowski. First name Laquita, Laquita.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay. Appreciate that. All right. Are there any questions? Commissioner Glenn?
Yeah, Commissioner Glenn said the store, I was kind of surprised to see the thing when it went up really fast. So how long has it been up? The facilities are completely built.
Yeah, so the original store closed on the 7th of August, and the new store opened shortly thereafter.
Okay, thank you. And then the liquor store is completely separate from the other side of the store, right?
Correct.
Blocked off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all I want to know. It looks good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
No questions. Commissioner Fernandez here. Just thank you for doing this. I've been going to that right off Meadow Lakes, that gas station for quite a while, and the lack of parking and space, and it's been a big issue. So gratitude.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Commissioner McCabe, I just have a comment. Congratulations on your new store. It is very attractive, and it looks like it has ample parking.
Excellent. Okay. If there's no other questions, okay, thank you. We will go ahead and open up public hearing on Resolution 24-20. If anyone's on the phone that would wish to speak, please press *3. Is there anyone on the phone? Okay, is there anyone in the audience? Do we have a sign-in sheet? Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak? Okay. Hearing and seeing none. Is there any objection to closing audience participation? All right. Audience participation is closed. Okay. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No, Madam Chair, not this time.
Okay. And you as well? All right. Well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution 24-20.
Commissioner Fernandez here. I move to approve Resolution 24-20.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Scoggins will second that.
Okay, Commissioner Fernandez made the resolution for 24-20, and Commissioner Scoggins was your second. All right, discussion.
Commissioner Fernandez here. Just to clarify, I didn't create the resolution. I created the motion for the resolution.
Yes, you did. I'm
I
sorry.
just wanted on the record I didn't make this guy. So thank you.
Thank you for the correction. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, no discussion. Is there any objections? No objections. Makes this one easy. Resolution 24-20 passes. Okay. Moving to public hearing legislative matters. Resolution 24-16. The State of Alaska Office of History and Archaeology, has submitted a proposal under MSB 15.04.025, naming geographic features to name a currently unnamed 5,325-foot mountain peak as Arcros. I'm sorry, I'm going to always say that wrong. Arcos Peak. I'm trying not to, though. All right, the peak is situated at the south end of Arcos Ridge between the heads of Lone Tree Gulch and Iron Creek and approximately 6.8 miles north to the North Glen Highway Moose Creek Bridge. The proposal is concurrent with a proposal to rename the current Arcos Peak as Souvenir Peak. Staff, Peggy Horton, current planner. Peggy, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is resolution, the packet for resolution 24-16, which can be found on page 725 of your packet. So this feature is an unnamed rock formation between the Talkeetna, or within the Talkeetna Mountains, between the heads of Lone Tree Gulch and Iron Creek. It is approximately 4.3 miles east of the Gold Mint Trailhead off of North Palmer Fishhook Road. So we did public postings. We don't mail out for this type of public hearing. We do postings. And so I posted notices on June 24th and 25th at 3 of trailheads on the eastern side of Hatcher Pass area, the laundromat at Turner's Corners, the Chickaloon Native Tribal Organization, the Sutton Post Office and Library, and the mailbox area at the Buffalo Mine Road. The public hearing notice was published in the Frontiersman on June 26th. The proposal material was posted on the borough's website on June 19th, and I also emailed out to various borough agencies and outside agencies on June 19th, including the Fishhook and the Sutton Community Councils. This feature resides on state land. It's just outside of any community council boundary, but we wanted to request comments from those close community councils. The one that we only did that for, of course, active community councils. The Buffalo Mine Soapstone Community Council is inactive at this time. So last Thursday, the Borough Historical Preservation Commission held its meeting on these 3 geographic naming proposals. And because the commission recommended keeping this mountain unnamed, staff created a new resolution, Resolution 24-23, for your consideration, which is in your handouts. And staff does recommend that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 24-23 to keep the mountain unnamed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from either Fishhook or Sutton Community Councils that would like to speak? Okay. All right, well then, is there any questions for staff?
I have a, pardon me, Commissioner Fernandez here, just have a clerical question. So on our agenda, we have Resolution 24-16, and we're being asked to review and consider Resolution 24-23
As a replacement resolution.
As a replacement resolution. Okay.
Correct.
So do we need to amend the agenda? No.
Go ahead, Alex.
This is Alex Strawn, Planning Director for the Matsu Borough. So no, the issue that is before you is the naming of this peak. That has been advertised. There is a resolution before you that is for approval. But things changed after we advertised it because there was a Historic Preservation Commission meeting. So if the Planning Commission wants to go with the recommendation of the Historic Preservation Commission, then we have prepared this document for you to consider. Could have also modifying this resolution, this is just one way to do it, is a substitute.
I'm assuming that's so that we don't have to create a resolution on the fly.
We did it for your convenience.
We appreciate that.
Very much.
As we've seen, sometimes that doesn't go very well.
Thank
That's all
you.
the questions I had. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, well then we will open the public hearing on resolution 24-16, or also to include 24-23. Is that how it should be put?
So right now, what has been advertised is
It's
a
24-16.
resolution recommending or approval of this change, 2416. Although members of the public there is in the back of the room, I believe, the substitute resolutions as well, that and posted online, so they could comment on either. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if there's anyone on the phone who wish to speak, press *3. No one on the phone. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this? No. Hearing and seeing none, is there an objection to closing public hearing? Okay, public hearing is closed. I will now entertain a motion for resolution 24-16 or 24-23. Yeah, you can ask a question. Go ahead.
So, I'm trying to track a little bit. So someone wanted to rename this mountain, and now another group doesn't want to rename it, or is the same group? I guess I'm really confused a little bit on this mountain.
Go ahead,
naming.
Peggy.
So this is an unnamed mountain where we're talking about right now. The named mountain in this general area is called Arcos Peak. The Alaska Mountaineering Club had proposed that we rename Arcos Peak, which is right now here, and we take that name and move it over here, because in 1985, the USGS maps mistakenly put the name Arcos Peak over here, and they left this one unnamed. Well, this one became known as Souvenir Peak through just the years, and this one became known locally as Arcos Peak. So what the Mountaineering Club wants is to align what the locals do, what the locals say, as official. So so this one right now, we're naming the one that's unnamed, and the original resolution was to approve that. But the Historical Preservation Committee or Commission, they look at other things. They're the advisory group to the Assembly for historical, cultural, archaeological, those kind of impactful things that they look at. And they look at this, but they didn't have their meeting until last Thursday. So they didn't provide an awful lot of information as to why they did this, other than the fact that they usually support the naming of geological features using traditional names, Native Alaskan names, many times. In this instance, since the name was not, since the mountain was not named, and naming it when not supporting the Souvenir Peak, which is up north of this, so then it would have had two, well, I'm sure the Alaska Historical Commission wouldn't have allowed it, but it would have been that two of the mountains would be named the same thing, so they couldn't do that. So they suggested that the mountain peak on the south remain unnamed, and the mountain peak on the north be named something else, and I'll tell you that later. Just stay tuned.
Very clear.
I'm sorry, is it
No.
not very clear? There's two mountains. Okay.
All right, Commissioner Fernandez here.
The maps.
I move to approve Resolution 24-16.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that as fast as I can.
Thank you. Appreciated. Okay, so Commissioner Fernandez made the motion for Resolution 24-16, and Commissioner Glenn seconded. Okay, is there any more discussion? on
I'd
these
like to
two
call the
mountains?
question.
Okay, we are calling the question. Oh,
So, Madam Chair?
Yes?
This is where you ask if there's objection to calling the question.
I am on it.
Okay. We
Is-
don't do that often, so I was just making
I
sure you're on
know.
track. Yeah.
I'm kind of excited right now.
I knew I was throwing you a curveball, but I thought you'd appreciate it.
I was almost ready. Okay, is there any objection to calling the question? Of course, no, I see. All right, so is there any objection to, okay, wait, I gotta have we do have a question. Is it for 2416, did you say, or 2423?
2416. To my understanding, I personally can't speak for all of you, but I will be voting down 24-16 and following our. Okay, I'm going to let Alex speak here because
The question's been called. All comments and debate are over, and you have to go to a vote. 2416.
Thank you. All right, so is there any objection to 2416?
Yes.
All right, we are going to take voice votes. Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Glenn,
No.
Commissioner Allen,
No.
Commissioner Cohen,
No.
Commissioner Shane,
No.
Commissioner McCabe,
No.
Commissioner Fernandez,
No.
Commissioner Scoggin.
You're not on your mic.
No.
The motion fails unanimously.
Okay. The motion for 24-16 has failed. So I will entertain a motion for 24-23.
Commissioner Fernandez here. I move to approve Resolution 24-23.
Is there a
Commissioner
second?
Glenn, I'll second that.
Okay, again, we have Commissioner Fernandez moved the resolution 24-23 with a second from Commissioner Glenn. Is there any discussion? Okay, is there any objection? All right, resolution 24-23 has passed. Okay. We are rolling now. Let's move to Resolution 24-17. The State of Alaska Office of History and Archaeology has submitted a proposal under MSB 15.04.025 naming geographic features to rename the 5,804-foot mountain peak currently named Arcos Peak to Souvenir Peak. The peak is located at the northeast end of Arcos Ridge and approximately 7.2 miles north of North Glen Highway, Moose Creek Bridge. Staff Peggy Horton. Peggy, would you please proceed with this one?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution 24-17 can be found on page 797 of your packet. So this is a proposal to rename a geographic feature, which is a mountain, from Arcos Peak to Souvenir Peak. This feature is also in the Talkeetna Mountains about 1.3 miles north of the one you just heard, Arcos, the proposed Arcos Peak. This is the proposed Souvenir Peak, currently named Arcos Peak. And the proposal stems from an error on the 1985 USGS maps that showed Arcos Peak in a different location than the one initially adopted by the U.S. Board of Geographic Names in 1969. That error resulted in the name Arcos Peak being adopted locally in the incorrect location, while the other name, Souvenir Peak, became locally used for the original location. This proposal is an effort to have the names in local usage recognized officially. Again, we did the same public noticing we did for the last geographic naming proposal you just heard. The Historic Preservation Commission held its meeting last Thursday. The commission recommended renaming the mountain to the traditional Atna name, and I'm going to try to pronounce it. Sita Kea La Lea. I hope that was appropriate. I'm not a traditional Native Alaskan speaker. That is what the, and that name has a meaning in the Atna language, is grandmother's mountain, grandmother's place mountain. So because the Historical Preservation Commission recommended renaming the mountain instead of naming this mountain Souvenir Peak, we created a new resolution for you, PC Resolution 24-23, for your consideration, and it's in your handouts.
Sorry, Peggy, 24-23 is the one we just voted on.
Okay, 24-25, let's try that one.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Can I? Sorry.
go ahead, Alex.
Thank you. Alex Strawn, Planning Director. I just want to make sure everybody understands. So this last resolution that was adopted essentially said to keep that unnamed peak unnamed. This would change Arcos Peak to Souvenir Peak. So Arcos Peak, if this was adopted as is, would go away, or even with the substitute resolution, Arcos Peak would go away. And I guess I want to say that it looks like they're the people who maybe proposed these name changes and spent a lot of time putting the application together. Looks like they might be here, and they might want to speak to these things if you care about the outcome here. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got it. Again, I'm going to ask if there's anyone from a community council, which would this also be Fishhook or Sutton would be the closest ones? Yes.
Same, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if there's anyone from the community council that would like to speak? All right. And then, since there is not, we will go ahead and open public hearing on Resolution 24-17. Is there anyone who is on the phone to speak? Nope. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Okay. Hearing and seeing none. Is there any objection to closing the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Okay. I'll now entertain a motion for Resolution 24-17.
Commissioner McCabe, I'll move 24-17.
Okay.
And Commissioner Glenn will second that.
All right. So Commissioner McCabe moved Resolution 24-17 with a second from Commissioner Glenn. All right. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Okay. Are there any objections?
Actually, Commissioner McCabe, I'm a little confused about what we just did with the other resolution, leaving the peak unnamed. What are the two peaks currently known as even, I mean, are they both, they known as Souvenir and Arcos? But they're attributed incorrectly to those peaks? Is that my understanding?
ahead.
They're backwards?
Through the chair, let's say there's two mountains. One's on the north end of Arcos Ridge, one's on the south end of Arcos Ridge. The one on the north end of Arcos Ridge is officially named Arcos through the Board of Geographic Names on the federal level. The one on the south end is currently unnamed. But in 1985, the USGS maps swapped the name Arcos to the southern peak. The other one remained unnamed officially. I mean, the other one was still named Arcos officially, but the USGS maps didn't show that name there. They showed it on the southern peak. The USGS maps didn't show a name for the one on the northern side. So eventually that was fixed. The USGS maps got fixed. But throughout the years, the names in local knowledge on the southern peak was known for Arcos because the USGS map showed it as being Arcos. And on the northern end, the mountaineering people didn't say exactly why, but they said that Souvenir Peak became known as Souvenir Peak. So, I hope that answers your question.
How long has it been known as Souvenir Peak? And is this a common name known by everybody or just the mountaineering people?
That's a good question, because I didn't get any public comments, and I'm not a mountaineer. And the Mountaineering Club didn't provide any other information other than the Mountaineering Club newsletter has said that this was Souvenir Peak for, I believe they said, up to 40 years. Since 1986. And then it gained traction following that publication. So 1986, it was published in the Mountaineering Club of Alaska newsletter called SCREE, and as Souvenir Peak. And so from then on, it became known as Souvenir Peak. So it's funny because in 1985, USGS maps showed the mountain as not having a name because Arcos was accidentally moved over here. In 1923, the USGS maps show Arcos as being in the right place on the northern mountain. So that's what led to this proposal, because they said that there is conflict with people are querying what's really real, what's really true, are what we've known all these years Arcos Peak, or is it up here? Is USGS maps right now, or are they wrong now? Which one? So they proposed this whole proposal comes from the questioning that they've received. So I don't know how well-known these mountains are. I don't know.
Is there any other question? Alex, would you like to clarify?
Yeah, so I have a couple of maps pulled up here. So if you start at, let's see. Oh, does it? Okay. That one right there.
Madam Chair, this one shows both mountains.
Okay.
And it says, the one on the north, it says Souvenir Peak proposed. And the one on the south, Arcos Peak proposed.
The one
So
on-
that
yeah.
tells you what we're trying to do before we got the Historical Preservation Commission decision last Thursday.
So the southern peak there is currently unnamed, and with the last resolution that was just adopted, we're recommending that it stay unnamed. And then the one that we're discussing now is the northern peak, and it is currently mistakenly called Arcos Peak, right? Nope.
It's officially named
It's
Arcos
officially-
Peak. That's why they have to change it officially if it's going to be changed.
Officially named Arcos Peak, but from a mistake that was made in the 80s, right? Right. And so the proposal here would turn that to Souvenir Peak.
I have the same question as Commissioner McCabe. What is the public know these things as?
I only know what the Mountaineering Club of Alaska put in their proposal, and the Office of History and Archaeology at the state put in the other information that they provided. I can tell you that Shem Pete's Alaska, you've probably heard of that book, very well-known book of names, traditional names in Alaska. That's where the traditional name that it was in the proposal that this was the traditional name, also used as what they call a variant name in the online naming system that the USGS maintains. So the office or the Historical Preservation Commission likes to approve traditional names. And so they're recommending that instead of Souvenir Peak and instead of remaining as Arcos Peak, that this peak get a different name, which is one of the already variant names in the system, in the official system. But they want it named what we would call Grandmother's Place Mountain in Otna, which I don't think I want to try that.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on this? Is it any more clear?
I don't want to spend it, it gets confusing, but I guess I always have a problem with renaming things that people already know, and I like reading history a lot, and stuff that's been renamed over the last 200 years is really difficult to follow. I don't know the right answer here to this one, but it's nobody's going to call it the name that we can't pronounce right now, right? Everybody's going to call it whatever name we're calling it. It can be on a map, whatever you want, but it's just, these things are tough, right? Rename, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. It seems like a small group's asking for this. I think it might be worth looking into more and getting, I think more public input would be important on this, actually. We're taking a lot from one group, maybe, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Go ahead, Peggy.
So this isn't the final say-so. We don't have the final say here. This is, the Office of History and Archaeology asked for our comments. So you guys are acting for the Assembly in responding to this request for comments. So they have gone out in the proposal, it says, they've gone out to the Chickaloon Native Village, the Cook Inlet Regional, Cook Inlet Tribal Council, Knik Tribal Council, the Matsu Borough, the Mountaineering Club of Alaska, Native Village of Eklutna, the Division of Mining, Land and Water, the Department of Recs and Outdoor Recreation, Alaska State Parks. They've gone to many places asking for comments, and so they're probably going to get a lot more comments. Maybe not from the public, but members of the public that belong to these organizations possibly, and anyone who's interested in keeping in these kind of naming things that happens every once in a while. So I don't know how else we could have done more public outreach than what we did, because yeah. The mountains weren't near any people's homes, so.
Okay, I'd like to clarify real quick. 24.17 is the one we are currently talking about, but could be replaced with 24-25. Could you please just give us a quick overview again of those two resolutions?
So Resolution 24-17 is for approval of the name Souvenir Peak. And that can certainly be modified if somebody wants to just leave it as Arcos Peak, I'm sure. And then 24-25 removes some of those whereases because it's a recommendation for something different. It's a recommendation for the traditional Otna name.
Can I comment here? Do you know what Arcos means?
Yes.
Red sandstone. Did you know that? It's a native name, so what are we doing exactly here?
One of the reasons in 1969 that the Mountaineering Club of Alaska brought Arcos Peak name to the Bureau of Geological Names, BGM, was that Arcos is a type of rock. And so they brought that name forward to name this mountain, and it got named Arcos Peak. And yeah, so.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Fernandez here. So if I'm understanding correct, the current name of this peak is Arcos Peak. We're proposing in 24-17 to change that to Souvenir Peak. If we choose not to go that route, 24-25 will adopt the more indigenous name of that particular mountain.
If approved.
If approved. Correct?
Correct. And you have an alternate option. Yes. Wait, there's more. You have the option of not recommending that it change at all, of just that it remain Arcos Peak. We'd have to work on that, but.
Through the chair, so it, on the topographical maps, the current ones, Alex, it says Arcos on it. I make a motion that we leave it as Arcos Peak.
I second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second to, is it an amendment? Okay.
That would require amendments to Resolution 24-17, which I don't think, has there been a motion to adopt that at this point? So
Yes, hold on, 24-17. Yes, the motion was done by McCabe and Glenn.
Okay.
Yes.
So in order to accomplish that, I mean, that's, you can make that motion, and if everybody agrees, then we'd have to go through the mechanics of actually accomplishing that.
Through the chair. Commissioner Fernandez here to staff. Is if we vote both of these resolutions down, it does, I mean, is that essentially the same thing? It stays Arcos Peak?
If a resolution is not adopted, then there just simply won't be a recommendation that goes to the state board that would consider this.
So Arcos Peak would stay Arcos Peak as it's currently named.
That would be
Without
up
our
to
input.
the State Historic Preservation Office, I think is what it is.
Up to the federal government.
On the phone? Is there somebody there? Okay. What if we take this one and ask to have it put to another meeting so that we can come back to it? Give us some time.
Be a motion to postpone?
No. Okay. Yeah, all I was asking is if that was an option. Okay. Okay. It's not optional. Got it. All right. So. 20.
Is there a motion on the floor to keep it as Arcos Peak, I believe?
Yes, there is.
I make a motion that we leave it as Arcos Peak. And Commissioner Scoggins seconded it.
All right. Then, is there any discussion?
You look quite pained over this, Alex.
No, I think it's fine. Just realize that this is almost like a ceremonial vote, because in order to actually make that happen, you would have to go through the mechanics of changing the resolution. So by voting on this, you're essentially giving your intent of what you want to do, and then we would go through the mechanics if it passes.
Okay. And we're all willing to do the mechanics of that here now. Which is why I was asking if it was an option for it to come back. Because if we vote what you have just put in, we can ask for it to be brought back at the next meeting, rewritten, so we don't have to do it here on the dais. Is that correct?
That is correct, but I do believe that we could do it without too much trouble.
Okay. If we can do it without too much trouble, thank you. It's always good to get input from the staff. Okay, so then is there any more discussion? Is there any objection to the motion? Is there any objection from Commissioner Allen?
No objection.
Commissioner Shane?
No objection.
Okay, so the motion passes. Now we have to rewrite the resolution. Okay.
If, Madam Chair, if you could give me a 5-minute
I think
recess.
we are ready for a 10-minute break anyway.
Great.
So why don't we just plan to come back at 8:10? We will take a pause. Okay, we are back at 8:10. All right. Alex, would you like to tell us what you've come up with as an option?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is, I've put together some amendments that could be proposed that would meet the intent of keeping this peak as Arcos Peak. And that is on page 2 of Resolution 2417, deleting the whereas that states, whereas according to the proposal, the usage of Souvenir Peak as the mountain within section 26 and 35 gained traction following its publication in a 1986 article in the Mountaineering Club of Alaska newsletter, SCREE, and eliminating the whereas that states, whereas according to the proposal, the mountain named Arcos Peak in 1969 has been called Souvenir Peak locally for 40 to 50 years, and eliminating the whereas, which states, and this is on page 4 of 5, there's 3 whereases in a row, and they read as follows. Whereas according to the proposal and the CNIS, the subject rock formation is currently named Arcos Peak. The proposal seeks to rename it to Souvenir Peak. Whereas a search in the CNIS found no indication of the name Souvenir used as a geographic feature elsewhere in Alaska. Whereas a search of the CNIS revealed no duplicates for a similar feature in the borough named Souvenir, considering both spelling and pronunciation. And the final portion of this amendment would be to, on the final page, page 5 of 5, to modify the now therefore be it resolved statement to read as follows. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Matanuska-Susitna Borough Planning Commission, acting for the Assembly, recommends denial for the renaming of Arcos Peak to Souvenir Peak.
Okay. Would that all be in a single amendment?
It sure can be.
All right. Then at this time, I'd entertain a motion for an amendment.
I make a motion for the amendment.
As written or read by Alex.
I couldn't have said it better. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Commissioner Shane, I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Shane. Okay, so we have a amendment on the floor by Commissioner Glenn, seconded by Commissioner Shane. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? The amendment passes. Okay. Now we have to go back to the original resolution of 24-17. I will entertain a motion to for resolution 24-17 as amended.
So that motion has been made. You're just back to the main motion, which is to adopt 2417 as amended.
As amended. Okay. Is there a motion?
No need for a motion, just discussion.
Okay. Sorry. Is there any discussion? No. Is there any objection? 24- I'm sorry. Is there anybody who has any objections, Commissioner Allen or Commissioner Shane?
Commissioner Shane here, no objection.
Commissioner Allen, no objection.
Okay, so resolution 24-17 passes. Okay. I think that one was a learning process that I think we passed. All right, resolution 24-18. The State of Alaska Office of History and Archaeology has submitted a proposal under MSB 15.04.025, naming geographic feature to name a currently unnamed mountain peak, excuse me, as Mount Corolla. This peak is found in Denali National Park and Preserve between Ruth Glacier and Matanuska-Susitna Glacier, approximately 14 miles west of milepost 140 North Parks Highway. Staff, Peggy Horton, current planner. Peggy, would you like to explain this one?
Sure.
I hope
Okay,
you have
this-
pictures.
This, we did, there are pictures in the staff report, yes. This is Resolution 2418, which can be found on page, or the staff report for this can be found on page 868 of your packet. This proposal is what they call a commemorative proposal for Carol J. Young. It's a miner and a pioneer woman of Alaska. She lived and worked in the Talkeetna and Petersville area for many, many years. She was also a part of several organizations, as stated in your resolution. Again, the public noticing process involves staff going out and noticing the public by posting notices at 2 locations near the intersection of Petersville Road and the Parks Highway, and 3 locations within the Talkeetna area. The public notice was published in the Frontiersman on June 26th. Material was posted on the borough's website in mid-June, and also requested comments from the borough and outside agencies via email on June 19th. This feature resides on federal land outside of any community council boundary. The planning staff did request comments from Chase, Trapper Creek, and Talkeetna community councils, as they are the closest active community councils to the mountain peak. We received no comments. The Historical Preservation Commission discussed these three geographic naming proposals at their meeting on the 15th. And the commission recommended approving this commemorative name. We did create a memo in your handouts, and it suggests adding 3 additional findings to Resolution 24-18 in order to acknowledge their input in this decision. So staff recommends the adoption of PC Resolution 24-18, adding the 3 findings found in the handout.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 24-18. Is there anyone on the phone? Okay, and obviously there's no one here. So is there any objection to closing public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Okay, I will now entertain a motion for Resolution 24-18.
I'll make a motion for 24-18.
I'll second that. Commissioner Fernandez.
Okay, Commissioner Glenn moved Resolution 24-18. Commissioner Fernandez made a second. Is there any discussion? Are there any amendments to consider in the handout? It would require an amendment. Correct?
Correct. If you wanted to adopt the additional whereas found within the handout, I will say that I just used the word whereas in a sentence. Whereas the amendments would bolster the resolution that's before you, it will not change the intent or the message that's sent. So you can choose to amend it by adding those or not.
I believe
Madam
that
Chair?
in my, I'm sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
just going to make the motion to amend.
Okay.
To amend the 24-18 to include the 3 whereases that are recommended in our handout.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Commissioner Fernandez here.
Okay. Commissioner McCabe made the motion to amend our resolution 24-18 with the 3 whereases as recommended by the HPC.
Okay, so if I could ask a question of Peggy, if I wanted to add those, I could just pull up 24-26. Was that the?
No, sir. You would pull up the handout for the memorandum for PC 24-18.
There you go.
PC memorandum.
Okay.
Oh boy. It's doing it again, Caleb. You don't need to do anything. It's spinning. I don't know if you saw that. We'll see. It did not. So it's still. Oh, because this computer hasn't been updated. Okay, so if we could be patient for a little bit, we have sort of a glitch with Adobe Acrobat, and it's been happening to a lot of computers in the borough, so we just have to wait for this to spin for a bit or let Caleb work his magic.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Yes.
there's a Word document in that same location.
Or you could just type it in. Here you go. Just a suggestion. Okay. While that is being typed in, can I ask if there's any discussion on that? It's been, I gotta figure out where I'm at again.
Through the chair, I believe that we are. I believe yes. I believe you're correct because we have the amendment to the
Amendments on the
motion, and now
floor.
we're on the amendment to the motion. We could move forward with that and still have 24 dash. Lord help me, 18.
18.
Yes.
Okay, so is there any discussion on the amendment for 24-18? No discussion. Okay, is there any objection to the amendment on 24-18? I'll give those on the phone a moment to speak if there's an objection.
Commissioner Shane, no objection.
Commissioner Allen, no objection.
Okay, with no objection, the amendment for 24-18 passes. Okay. Now, back to the original 24-18. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Resolution 24-18 passes as amended. Okay. And Alex is going to have it for us. It's done. Look at that. Okay, so moving on. Commission business. Alex, would you like to discuss any upcoming planning commission agenda items?
I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? I don't hear or see any. Okay, let's move on to director and.
I do. Commissioner Fernandez here. Just curious. I'm seeing new faces. Everything's exciting. You guys feeling support and staffed? Maybe I should look at Peggy for that one.
Yeah, so I don't think you were here for the last meeting, so I did introduce Lacey Olivieri as the Planning Commission clerk and department administrative specialist. And so very happy to have her on board. She has been just like a little hurricane over in that office over there. She's got a lot of responsibility and is taking care of a lot of things, but that has been filled. So we have been filling positions, but they have been internally filled. So there's still all these kind of voids in the planning department, but we do have openings and we anticipate being fully staffed hopefully before too long.
Phenomenal.
Okay. Well, Alex, why don't you go ahead and go on with any other comments that you might have?
No comment.
None?
No, I'm ready to get out of here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go to comments on the phone first. So we'll start with Commissioner Allen.
No comments from me, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your patience online. Commissioner Shane?
Just a quick thank you to staff for everything you guys do. And thank you to everyone that showed up. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Hope everyone has a great week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you also for your patience. Commissioner Fernandez?
I absolutely love parliamentary procedure, and I appreciate you all playing along. This has been a really fun one, so thank you, everybody. Missed you guys on the phone.
Commissioner Glenn?
Yeah, same here. It was a pretty entertaining night. It's good to have you back here. And the guys on the phone, we miss them. And let's see, Wednesday, as today's Monday, Wednesday's my 35th anniversary, and my wife is pretty amazing and works full time and runs my business full time, and she's a grandma. And Rick got to gush about his wife a few weeks ago, so I'm going to gush about mine. So, and then Thursday, my 40th class reunion, Palmer High School. So
wow.
We're amping it up here. And Peggy, you did a great job tonight. You probably need a bottle of Tylenol, which I could buy for you if you'd like. But anyway, I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Commissioner McCabe?
That was awesome. Happy anniversary and happy 40th anniversary of your graduation. Thanks, everybody. It's been a fun evening. Thanks for all your work, staff.
Commissioner Scoggins?
I have no comment. I can't follow you guys.
Okay. I would really like to say thank you, staff. You guys have done amazing tonight. I appreciate you keeping us in line. Even though sometimes I feel like I personally need things in crayon, help me a little bit, but I appreciate what you guys have done tonight. And thank you for your patience with us. So we have, I would also like to announce tomorrow is my 41st wedding anniversary. My husband's put up with me that long, which is a hard job. So anyway, so a lot of anniversaries this week, and thanks everybody for your patience and your time. And Lacey, you did great. This meeting is adjourned at 8:28.